The Victorian era, spanning from 1837 to 1901 during the reign of Queen Victoria, was a period of significant social, economic, and technological change. This epoch, characterized by strict social hierarchies and rigid gender roles, had a profound impact on the lives of women. Women's roles in Victorian society were largely defined by their class, with stark contrasts between the experiences of upper-class and working-class women. Despite the pervasive restrictions, the Victorian era also witnessed the early stirrings of the women's rights movement, laying the groundwork for future advancement. The ideal Victorian woman. The concept of the ideal woman in Victorian society was deeply entrenched in the notions of purity, piety, submissiveness, and domesticity. Known as the cult of domesticity, this ideal portrayed women as the moral guardians of the home, responsible for nurturing children and providing a peaceful refuge for their husbands. Upper and middle-class women were expected to exhibit virtues of modesty and self-sacrifice, dedicating themselves to their families while abstaining from public or political life. Education for these women was limited, focusing primarily on accomplishments such as music, art, and language, which were deemed suitable for enhancing their roles as wives and mothers. Domestic life and duties. For most Victorian women, domestic life was centered around the home. The household was seen as the woman's domain, and managing it effectively was considered her primary duty. This included overseeing servants, planning meals, and ensuring the upbringing of children in a morally upright environment. The emphasis on motherhood was profound. Women were revered for their role in nurturing and educating the next generation, yet they often had little autonomy or opportunities outside the household. Working-class women. In stark contrast, working-class women faced a different reality. Economic necessity forced many of them into the labor force, often in harsh and exploitative conditions. They worked as domestic servants, factory workers, seamstresses, and in other low-paying, labor-intensive jobs. These women juggled demanding work schedules with their responsibilities at home, receiving little recognition or support. The harsh conditions and long hours took a toll on their health and well-being, yet their contributions were essential to the Victorian economy. Education and employment. The late Victorian era saw gradual improvements in the educational opportunities available to women. Reformers advocated for the inclusion of girls in the education system, leading to the establishment of schools and colleges for women. This access to education opened new avenues for employment, albeit still limited. Women began to enter professions such as teaching, nursing, and clerical work, challenging the traditional confines of their roles. The suffrage movement. The Victorian era also marked the beginnings of the women's suffrage movement. Pioneering women like Millicent Fawcett and Emmeline Pankhurst emerged as key figures advocating for women's rights, including the right to vote. The suffrage movement gained momentum towards the end of the 19th century, with women organizing, protesting, and campaigning for equality. Though significant legal changes would not come until the 20th century, the groundwork laid during the Victorian era was crucial in advancing the cause of women's rights. Conclusion. The role of women in Victorian society was complex and multifaceted, defined by both strict societal expectations and evolving opportunities. While many women were confined to domestic spheres, others broke barriers and contributed significantly to the economy and the early feminist movement. The Victorian era, with its contradictions and gradual progress, played a pivotal role in shaping the future trajectory of women's rights and societal roles.